Welcome to another episode of the Loft Gym Chronicles, the Titan Fitness 1,000-pound adjustable bench edition. You have to excuse me, I'm a little flushed. Just came home from my bicycle commute, so I'm a bit sweaty, a bit tired. Excuse me. Ooh. But I thought I'd put together the 2 Titan Fitness benches that I have for your YouTubing pleasure. And why do I have 2 Titan Fitness 1,000-pound adjustable benches, you might ask? That's a great question, and you should watch my other videos on the subject. It's a crazy story. So the 2 benches are fully assembled behind me, and I thought I'd give you a tour and show you the differences between 2 seemingly identical benches from Titan Fitness. Let's go for a tour. Here are the 2 benches. And the one on the left is the original one I received from Titan Fitness. And after several issues with it, Titan Fitness sent me another one, obviously with the expectation I return the first one, which I will do. And they provided me with a replacement, which is on the right. First, let's go over what we can see, the seats of the 2 benches. The original bench I received actually had a pretty nice seat. You could see the Titan Fitness stamped into the headrest. Nice tight seam between the back pad and the head pad. And then down to the seat. No real issues with this one aside from a couple marks on the back. Contrast that now with the new and replaced bench here. Again, we have the stamped headpiece, no real issues there. But now you can see how crooked, uneven, ugly, and wide the gap between the headrest and the back piece is. No real issues on the seat piece, just the back here. In addition, for whatever reason, the back side of the new bench, this main backrest, has super thin vinyl that's just ready to tear when you look at it. And the other headpiece and the seat don't have that issue. Strange. Neither did I have this issue on the original bench. Next, let's take a look at the leg rollers. On the original bench, everything looks good, no issues. They went together fine, and everything is nice and clean. On the replacement bench, you could see how loose it hangs. For whatever reason, they're wider than the shaft that goes through them to connect them, to the point where I couldn't even put the end cap on. The shaft is way deep inside that pad. Moving on to the front legs. The original bench that I received, while not pretty, you could see how that was rolled. It's functional, it's fine, no real issues. On the new bench, not only do I have a duck foot here for some reason, where this side is bent in, bunch of finish imperfections, but it also is loose and it rattles. Now you may say, oh, you just didn't tighten that enough. Well, I'm tight to the point where the sheet metal is starting to bend in. So yeah, I could bend it all the way in, but why isn't it sized correctly? Why isn't that piece sized to the size of the tubing that they use for the feet? While we're down here, let's explore the bottom cushion situation. We're looking at the new bench, and you could see this post cap here is flat, and it sticks out quite a ways up above the main frame. So what's happening is, when I drop the seat to the flat position, the first thing that's impacting is the bottom of the seat before the seat locks in. This post should not be as tall as it is. Looking at a similar angle on the old bench, you could see that This post is short. There's a nice rounded cap on here. And when I drop the seat, it locks in without really mashing into the post here. Just how you would expect. Also, while we're here, the original bench had this type of T-handle. It's kind of a thick one. And as you may recall, I had an issue where there's thread on the shaft here and it locks into this nut, preventing me from taking out the pop pin. Also on the pop pin here, on the original bench, the shaft looked like it was kind of chewed up and thin. So I was afraid that it might snap, and it's not really up to the 1,000-pound rating it claims. No such issues with the pop pin on the new bench. On the new bench, you could see that the design of the pop pin is different. The handle is different, but it still has thread on the main shaft where it locks into the nut, and you have to unscrew it before attempting to pull it out. Moving on to the bottom of the seat cushion, the original bench here, they had to drill the holes twice. So I have elongated holes in these plates to be able to line up the screws. So they messed up at the factory. Instead of just scrapping the piece, they re-drilled the holes, finished it, and sent it out. No such issues on the new bench. The holes lined up perfectly the first time, no issues. Moving to the back, on the backrest, you could see the design difference where the adjustable frame pivots on the original bench, there is a sleeve inside the frame piece, and the bolt goes through that sleeve. On the new bench, there is no sleeve. There's just drilled holes with bushings. On the original bench, the adjustable frame is wide to the point where the included bolts didn't thread enough into the nuts. At the pivot point or down here. Just not enough thread captured there. On the new bench, there's no such issues. The frame is narrower because it doesn't have the sleeve here, and there's plenty of bolt captured by the nut that's sticking out there. On the original bench, this adjustable frame was pretty straight, and I had no issues other than being too wide for the bolts that they supplied. On the new bench, the adjustable frame came twisted, and I tried 10 different ways to install it to make sure that it properly aligns and drops into its notches without causing any safety issues. On both benches, you could see the notches for the adjustable backrest are kind of skewed left and right all over the place on the spine of the bench. And it's kind of a similar situation on the new bench where most of them are skewed to the right, but then there's one to the left, and we're back to the right. The gaps for the wheels on the original bench are too wide, where the wheels have slop. On the new bench, this part here, I had to pry open with pliers in order to be able to even drop a wheel in there. It's how tight it was. And this wheel was fine. I flipped the benches on its side so you could see that on the front feet here, on the new bench, they added this steel plate to provide support, whereas the original bench does not have that. So all that's well and good, you may say. Those are cute differences. Who cares? What's the real deal? Are there any showstoppers here that will prevent you from owning and enjoying this bench? Let's go over those. If you were to order and receive the original bench on the left here, you would be quite concerned if the bolts for the adjustable frame that are bearing all the weight weren't fully captured by the nut and you could only have 2 or 3 threads in there. Would you trust this with 1,000 pounds over your head? Likewise, instructions call for bushings in this pivot, but you can't fit any. It's a bit annoying, but not a major deal. What about this pop pin? Does the fact that the shaft is so worn and thin, again bearing your weight, would that concern you? What about if you received a new bench and your leg rollers look like that and you couldn't put them together and your feet rattle? That'd be a problem. What if the vinyl on the back of the seat was so thin it could practically tear anytime you try to lift the bench and move around your gym? And what about the adjustable frame not sitting evenly in the notches that support your weight? Would you trust that with 1,000 pounds? Okay, so what's the conclusion? What did I decide to do? Well, because I have 2 benches, that's a luxury you don't have. I can take the best parts off of each and combine them to have one good bench. So I think I'm just gonna keep my original bench. I'm gonna go to the hardware store, get some longer bolts for the frame. I'm gonna take the pop pin from the new bench and put it on the old bench. And I think I could live with the rest of the faults. $145 is a value? Maybe. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching.